So
have per
let's
home.
talk some numbers here, right?
Of course.
What's the term of these notes? What is typically a down payment percentage of the term of the overall purchase, and what rate of interest are you doing?
Yeah, so our benchmark, right, is our regular modus operandi. We're doing about 10% down payments. We're seller carrying at either a 10 or 20-year program, 10 or 20, depending on what those payments look like. With a higher purchase price, we're going to have to carry a little bit longer just because where rental rates are currently.
Okay.
And then we're originating at 14%. So we seller carry at a decent rate in order to not only get the individual into the property, but also create a savvy strategy on the back end to entice an investment client into a non-conventional asset strategy. So those are kind of the numbers, and those numbers really match market rent, which is the biggest win. I think you're not only potentially acquiring a note that's a high return, but also the grade of that investment strategy ends up being elevated because it fits within the affordability of our market. And if an individual can't go somewhere for cheaper and they, find pride of ownership in these homes, it's really a win-win-win
Yeah.
for the investor, for the homeowner, for the individual that bought, remodeled, resold the property, for the institution that owns the park. It really hits a lot
Wow.
of boxes.
So Cindy asked a question earlier. These older homes that you're rehabbing, are they still on leased land? I presume they are.
Yeah, so we buy homes on leased land, we rehab it on the leased land there, we sell it there. So we're not buying on a lot, from the wholesaler, cross country, moving it here, rehabbing it here. Those homes were already placed with city utilities, city water, city sewer. They have amenities in the community like pool, jacuzzi, fitness center, on-site management, park community office. But again, they're on that leased land community. They're not in often Casa Grande on one random lot,
Sure.
out in the boonies. It's in an established, institutionally owned community. They have their rules and regs and things of that nature.
It sounds to me as that the park would actually help prevent a situation of the borrower trying to pull the mobile home out of there, right? They also go in the point where are some parks set up that if the borrower defaults, they'll keep making the payment for the borrower?
I haven't quite come across that yet. I've heard of that with the
I've heard of
larger
as well.
institutions. Like 21st Mortgage is the largest national lender of personal property mobile homes. And I think they do have a clause in their agreement that the park signs that says something of that nature where it's either like deferred or it can't come to them for the attorney fees. It's a little muddy because I'm the little guy on the block.
It's all good.
I'm not quite Warren Buffett in 21st Mortgage. Uh, but that creates an opportunity
Yeah,
if a community themselves is not a savvy, they don't like that guideline where they have to co-sign that loan or
sure.
they have to forbear those payments. They're going to come to us. They're like, hey, we got this deal over here. We like what you do. We have an established relationship here in Arizona with you. They start kind of chefing us deals.
Yeah.
And obviously the risk mitigation on the front end is extremely important to make sure that we're not getting burned if we were to take a property back while still being responsible for these small fees associated towards
Mhm.
getting the asset back and recash flowing it. The mitigation on the front end is definitely important.
I know a lot of mobile homes that I've ever heard of usually are 5-year terms. I understand extending it. And I get the whole, I know someone made a comment regarding, Dodd-Frank and usury laws and making sure it's not above, state specific rules. Um,
Absolutely.
but I think, is there any kind of restrictions regarding how long that term of that, motor vehicle loan can be?
Yeah, so I piggyback off my great great grandfather Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, 21st mortgage. He originates notes at 25 and 30-year mortgages and
Wow.
matches sometime our rate. What is that rate? Oh, that's 14%. You're telling me
Yeah.
that Warren Buffett and 21st mortgage is originating personal property chattel loans on 25 and 30-year amortized interest rates of 14%. That's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. 14% for 25 years. And
That's
these people, you're right. These people don't, me and Nathan's talked about privately is that low income housing is definitely a need in the United States, right? People don't have the
Mhm.
money. People don't want to pay a lot. And if you could be below rent, you're going to grab the people who want to rent, but just say, listen, I might as well buy here for rental.
Mhm.
They
100%.
own the land, all that stuff. And I'm presuming that most of these are there's communities set up with HOAs where they cut the grass for them and things like that.
Yeah, so it's not HOA, it's called lot rent. So your lot lease in a lot leased community, right? You have the real benefits of kind of an HOA, of shared facilities like amenities, pool, jacuzzi, fitness centers, where they don't have to pay to upkeep those personally, things of that nature. They are responsible for their lot, so like weeding and things of that nature. But here in Arizona, it's really low maintenance. It's not like there's a whole lot of grass out here. It's a lot of just lava
Well
rock
said.
and things like that.
Well
Uh,
said.
but the communities really do a great job. I call it the finger wave, of talking to owners and making sure
Mhm.
that their lots are clean. They want to have a clean, safe environment because of where the institutional strategy is for these parks are buying them for the 50-year return, these
Mhm.
mobile home parks, and they're increasing values, increasing quality, waving the finger here and there to try and make sure that the everything's up to par.
So Rick made
So
a
that was
comment that most banks can't loan on pre-HUD mobile homes. Just information. I know we put it into the
yeah.
video, but just FYI. Go ahead, Nathan.
So and you mentioned it there, but that was another question of mine is values. What's appreciation like? What's how does that compare to single family?
Yeah, so historically, mobile homes have not appreciated. It is
Right.
considered a depreciating asset. What
Mhm.
level of depreciation is highly contingent on location, the community, and the current economic environment in the country. So we
Okay.
started flipping mobile homes about 7 years ago. And we started doing notes about 5. So over the past 5 years, we've had the unfortunate happen where we've had to take back a few, like five, maybe over 5 years, something like that.
Mhm.
Coincidentally, we just saw the biggest appreciation in residential real estate from COVID,
Hmm.
as well as the lack of housing here in Arizona. I made more money on those homes than I'd care to explain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Retaking those properties back, getting appreciation on that asset that historically hadn't appreciated. Now, that being said, is that going to
Yeah.
happen every time? No, that's not going to
And I think
happen.
we fear the fact that we call the COVID bump of appreciation is
Mhm.
kind of screwing some stuff, right? In the last 5 years, everything has doubled and not tripled sometimes. Where if
100%.
you look over, if you hold that note for 20 years, is that property worth 5 grand at the end of it? Right? What is that property worth at the end of it? Where if we're 12 years into this note, and that was sold for 100 grand, right? And in 12 years from now, if I bought a residential note, that thing may be worth a buck 50, 200, where that mobile home may now only be worth 30 or 40,000 on
Sure.
normal terms, right? If you bought it a mobile home today, 10 years from now, without the weird bump that we're all going through,
Sure.
what would that value be? And that's I think our fear of going too far with these kind of
Mhm.
homes and why most people don't do more than five because of that value.
Yeah, no, I think really I can only speak about my current market. I'm
Sure.
not a guru in every state or anything of that nature by any means. But
Sure.
here in Arizona, there's really been an interesting revelation that's come to the table because of the high desirability of these locations, like Tempe, Mesa. A lot of Fortune 500 companies are moving here to Arizona.
Sure.
On top of that, the population density with lack of housing alone here in Arizona, I think that we're seeing a lot of growth that we can't so much facilitate housing for the individuals that moving here to the market. On top of that, with the lack of housing here in Arizona, the uh where was I going with this? Oh, the buyer has changed. So it's not
Sure.
so much the same buyer anymore who could barely buy this home originally. They were scraping by, it was literally the cheapest place to live that they could find ever, and they lived there for 20 years. Well,
Mhm.
that individual doesn't have as much pride of ownership and maybe
No.
cleanliness and upkeep, and it
Mhm.
didn't have, you know, granite counters and drywall and things of that nature. So the dynamic being changed of the buyer,
Yeah.
I think, will ultimately help values hold strong, not only because the location and high desirability, as well as population growth here in my market, but also that individual is now going to take that much better care of that property, opposed to an individual getting that home back and there it's a hoarder house now, or, you know, whatever it may be. That's the
Sure.
historical connotation towards mobile homes. They get it back, it's trashed, there's holes in the
Mhm.
floor. Those are the homes I'm buying. And
Yeah.
I'm doing
Mhm.
a
T-
full rehab, higher level of quality as far as cabinets, granite counters,
Sure.
tile bathrooms. It'll hold
Mhm.
that, in my opinion, because of the location and the higher quality, as well as new buyer who's going to take that much better of that product. I think that it creates a stronger environment to hold values higher than historical representations of a depreciating mobile
And
home.
I think one of our other fears is the structure of the actual property, right? I think the idea is that again, I go back to that metal shed we call a trailer,
100%.
right? Are these new ones not like, is it, my grandma's trailer was rusting out, right? There's holes in the side of it because the rust just went away.
100%.
Are these structured differently? Are you changing the sides from a metal roof to a normal roof, metal sides to a normal side to avoid the fact that not even depreciation, but the house is falling apart. Then 50 years,
Sure.
it's dust.
Right.
100%. Yeah. Those are the homes I'm buying. The not, you know, older homes, they are disintegrating almost
Mhm.
because of the products that they used at that time. And us going into these properties doing new, it's called T111. T111 is the new siding that they're putting on all these brand new homes. And that upgrades the insulation value of the property. It's really important here in Arizona. It's like 115 degrees here right now. But also going through and doing new electrical and plumbing and things of that nature, making sure subfloors sturdy and up to par. There's no holes in the ceiling, holes in the siding. The benefit of the metal roof is the service is so easy.
Hmm.
Every 5 years, you buy a 10-gallon bucket of Henry Solar Flex from Home Depot, and you coat the dickens out of it,
Yeah.
of the roof, and seals the entire roof. The benefit here in Arizona is not a whole lot of natural disaster, so no like big tornadoes or you know, crazy
Mhm.
crazy storms, things of that nature. But to answer to your question, we go through these properties and to the best of our ability, make sure that they're almost like a new home, you know, making sure that when we sell a product to an individual, we want to hedge our investment. We don't want to sell a piece of trash and to a non a less qualified buyer who's ultimately going to have us take that property back. Now we're in a jam because we never rehabbed the property originally.
Mhm.
It's all on the front end. Like you see, you know, changing those the quality of that home, The cabinets that come out in new mobile homes are all dingy cabinets. They're
Yeah.
not nice quality cabinets, even on a new home out of Clayton and Cavco. They manufacture their own cabinets. We're buying higher quality cabinets, granite, making sure things are up to code and things of that nature.
It's so funny. You talk about granite and countertop with that. I've never looked at any of my notes to see what kind of countertop they had.